They got it in the end.
Certainly worked out for them, didn't it? And then we moved into Skyhook here, which was tough for everyone, but Atlas got the win. Any thoughts on this third and final circle?
Oh, I mean, it's just straight chaos right now. It's craziness. Caustic ults going out, Catalyst walls, jumping over the walls, just straight chaos right now. Atlas here.
Heavy check mark live online under the game Apex Legends. The uptime begin.
Right now. Playing time while the other two teams fight, it looks like. And then pushing over, trying to third party, and Atlas win it in the end. So I didn't see that until now.
It's been a really good day of matches so far, and at the end of it all right now we get a chance to take a look at the series results with Passion UA just barely squeaking past Cybercats by 1 point right now to hold that first place spot. But in general, even like our top 6, top 7, top 10, I guess, really depending on how good people have when it comes to performances on Stormpoint. But in general, the theme in EMEA so far, Shiv, has been that it's a really close region right now in Split 2. So I kind of want to get your thoughts on. Been really exciting so far. Well, Shiv, the OG Bangalore, thank you so much for jumping on and chatting with us here during our halftime. Obviously, best of luck resting up, and I'm sure we'll be chatting with you again soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys.
All right, we'll say bye to Shiv. We will also say bye to Gaskin, who gets to go take his break now that we are done with our halftime, which also means he's just very eager to leave. Which also means, Mark, that it's now time to start talking about Stormpoint. We've wrapped up our World's Edge matches. We're switching things on over to the new map. This could open up some opportunities for some of our teams that have struggled in the first half of the day.
Yeah, and of course, you got to talk about the POI draft again, right? If you had a bad pick on World's Edge, then usually you're going to have a good one when it comes to Stormpoint. And you're looking at the teams who managed to kind of amass a few points here and there on their weak POIs, on some zones that maybe wasn't going their way. And then you flip over and in the back of your mind, you're like, hey, we're playing from one of the best POIs here on Stormpoint. We feel very confident with where we're going to drop. And speaking of which, I got to look at FaZe again, right? I've mentioned it already. They're landing at the mill. That is going to be first pick for them. One of the best POIs, great loot, great access to console. Any quick rotates that you can make with that trident, as well as hitting, of course, some Evo harvesters on your. This is their opportunity here to, I would say, capitalize on a pretty solid start from a bad POI. Really take control of this lobby.
I think I'm also going to be keeping my eyes on Gaming Gladiators, who obviously have a better POI here on Stormpoint than they did in World's Edge, because they were the team that did really well last time these two groups faced off against each other. And like you mentioned at the top of the show, obviously that first day was the first time we were implementing this POI draft system, so maybe things were a little bit different, but I still have pretty high expectations for Gaming Gladiators.
Yeah, me too. I think they've had some fairly decent games, or certainly been in some pretty good positions in and around that sort of halfway mark when we get to that top 10 teams. Elsewhere, you're looking at Go Next. They're going to be dropping it over at the wall. They've been in, I would say, a similar story. Aurora, Devastated Coast is a little bit of a rough one for them when it comes to picks. They're right down the bottom there, but we know that Aurora made it work. I mean, Cenote is where they played from historically on this map, which, I mean, it's not going to be number one when it comes to picks a lot of the time, but you can see they're playing from the southern side of the map. They're going to have a lot of room to play with. And if you're either side of Aurora, for example, like Nessie at Coastal Camp, then you're going to have your kind of head on a swivel, because they're not going to be afraid to push you. You've got Cybercats next to them as well. So be aware of Aurora is usually a good rule of thumb when it comes to these lobbies.
And then, of course, all of that combined with the decisions these teams are making, the rotations they're choosing, where the zones are going to be shifting, and favoring some of these squads. potentially we've seen a lot of central pulls over towards Jurassic and Pylon, so we'll see who that could benefit as well. And I'm excited to see how Stormpoint goes, because there is still a lot of points on the line to be grabbed by these teams that need to make some big moves.
One team who's not going to be too happy with their POI is going to be Passion. They're dropping over at Trident. They have to be careful with North Pad Zone getting aggressive on them early, but they will have, of course, access to the Trident to shift around a little bit quicker once they do get that loot on board. One team to keep an eye on, I think, that's got a pretty good drop as well, is going to be Passion UA. If I wasn't mistaken, they're dropping somewhere on the center of the map, so they have some pretty good rotates, and I think point-wise have been decent access and central POI, then they're going to be in a really good spot playing from Cito.
I like that shout. I like that shout. We'll have to see how our teams do on this first match of the day, or at least first match here on Stormpoint, as we get into it straight on board with Atlas. And we'll get some of that zone information as well. Mentioned them when we got to see that flyover. Atlas is the squad that's going to be kicking things off over in Jurassic, so they'll be relatively utilize that to their advantage, as all these squads are going to start looking for that ring information.
Yeah, ring console going to be vital here, and hitting it as quickly as possible as well, because some teams are going to be thinking, hey, this is going maybe up towards Cascade and Wall, and it looks like that is exactly where we are going to be going, maybe even actually Trident, where Passion are going to be dropping towards those egg buildings. So a little bit of a rough zone if you're not there early. Not a lot of playable space, which is something which is fairly synonymous with the Northern point, but this is a little bit of a rough one. And Passion, who, like we mentioned, in the POI, probably thinking, hey, this ain't too bad, this POI draft. I quite like it, to be honest with you.
I think you did that. I think you just blessed them a little bit with a little bit of good luck.
My PayPal is available for anyone who needs it. Don't worry.
Go Next, though, also will be pretty comfortable, and they were a team that we saw doing a good job on those World's Edge matches, positioning themselves well, getting into those final circles, and at least getting some KP on the board. So we'll have to see what they're able to do, considering that they could have the likes of players in Game and Gladiator starting to rotate towards them and try to see if they can go for the northern side of that zone. But you did mention Passion needs to at least take care and pay attention to Blacklist up at North Pad. You can see a little bit of a scouting mission there on behalf of Passion as they're trying to figure out which direction these squads are coming through, which chokes they have to be paying attention to, as the Thurnal, Danish, Trojan, everybody moving in.
Yeah, a little bit of we'll say a poke battle going down at the moment over Elrod and Zeus Station, as Gaming Gladiators and the players who are politely waving at each other and letting each other know that they are in the vicinity. Looking at what information certain teams have got available, because the Zeus Station, I'm pretty sure they had a survey beacon to play with, if I'm not mistaken, just waiting for the players to player icons to move, so we can double check that for you. Elrod, you can see that they don't look like they have a huge amount themselves, so that's gonna be interesting to see how they play it. But I think the overriding story for me is this is a really rough zone for the southern teams, because historically we know that Stormpoint is a big hill, right? You're working your way uphill a lot of the time, and the fact that there's such little playable zone, and the fact that you've got to go through Cascades where maybe some teams are going to be playing a little bit late without zone info, it's a really, really tough rotate to make. So I think teams like Aurora, Cybercats, if they can make their way towards the end zone here and somewhere involved in that top 10 and just getting any placement points, I think they'll be pretty happy considering where this zone is going.
Well, we're checking in with Danish right now, as they're surrounded by quite a few of those early rotating teams. Already all on blue and trying to utilize the smoke as they continue moving forward. They are taking a little bit of poke damage as they get down into those trenches and try to escape and start hunkering down. At least you can see just how many teams are already trying to look their direction.
I mean, this is a rough zone if you're not there early. It's as simple as that. That's why you see everybody who has the potential to get into zone early making a play to get into zone early, whether it's taking a fight, whether it's just evacing in. Everybody's making a play at the moment, and that means that you're going to see this early scrap happen in and around the trenches, because when everyone arrives at the same time, it means that someone is not going to survive, someone is going to get landed on, someone is going to get thirded in this situation. And there's about 4 or 5 teams you can see, FaZe being one of them, Go Next being another, and Go Next look like they've already lost a player. FaZe are trying to chase down the final 2, but they can't overextend here because they'll give that spot away. With everyone arriving, it's going to be rough for them to try and take it back.
This is definitely the most early game chaos we've seen so far in our matches today. And FaZe do look hungry. You said they didn't want to overextend, but they also want to try and clean up this KP, maybe potentially anticipating the fact that it's going to be rough to hold anywhere in this area. You can see Nags, though, no shields. Arctic the farthest forward and trying to continue doing damage, but FaZe are a bit spread out, and now is the time when they decide to back off.
Yeah, a little bit of a kind of double-edged sword here, right? Because you're looking at FaZe and you're thinking, hey, they had a good spot, but they got that knock. And looking back on that situation, FaZe want to try and chase down those last 2 kills, probably because of the amount of traffic that just arrived in and around the spot they were holding. So they were like, okay, let's try and secure this KP. Let's force this team away, and then let's try and move back to our spot and retake once maybe some of the damage has been done for us. So FaZe actually do make that play. They move back now. They will have to heal up, but they'll have to be careful. But this is the worry. Synertic takes some damage, but at least on the Bangalore, he can get away, hit that smoke, and get reset.
The one benefit that FaZe does have right now is that if they at least play this northern side, they know that they won't have anybody at their backs, and they mostly have to worry about Go Next on one side, Blacklist on the other, but it's less congested than where everyone in the trenches currently is, so they might be able to back off, reset, and just kind of reassess how they want to handle moving forward. As we get to take a look at Nessie slowly making their way towards the zone and heading towards a choke that is about to be very filled with quite a few teams. So they're going to at least try and get those shields evoed up if they want to push through a potentially very hectic spot.
Yeah, this is a... In fact, there's so many teams already in and around Trident and the Egg, so it's going to be tough for them. Na'Vi are going to find the same thing now as they move in from the west side. But Na'Vi historically have played these kind of zones in this kind of style, and they also have a Trident to play with, so they'll be able to hit the oh, I should say they will eventually hold up, let me start this sentence when it gets a bit closer, right? Henchmen will eventually be able to hit the survey beacon to get some info on where those teams are going to be going, and then with the Trident they will be able to boost into a spot if they see it.
So everybody's been there before, okay? It happens to everybody, and either way, they're at least going to get the information that they need. It might take them a little bit longer. They will have to keep their eyes open for GoNext, who are going to be looking to potentially gatekeep them, now pushing back into safety. And now we get to see what we've got going on here with Gaming Gladiators. They were one of the teams rotating in from the eastern side, now going up against Full English, as they're able to get a knock to open up this fight, and they do trade one in response. It's now a 2v2. Blast, 0 shields, looking to escape.
Look, they're doing a really good job actually to get that exchange when it came.
Past by the time they make it out, so at least for now should be safe.
Yeah, they should be able to hit this Evo Halfster and all get out to red as well. You can see that Lifein's only got 216 Evo left until he levels up, so Full English are playing for the late game. I think they recognized pretty early that their access to this zone is pretty terrible, so they're going to play to make sure that they can fight their way in. Elsewhere, Nessie, oh, it's looking a bit shaky for them. Shots coming in from multiple angles from multiple teams, and the CJ already down. Noises is looking this damage.
Yeah, this would be a great opening fight here for Passion UA. Nessie, the first team out in our first Storm Point match, and Passion UA taking a little bit of damage in response, but able to back off to these rocks and use that Watson to kind of create a defensive perimeter here for themselves. I mean, it's like you've said a few times, this is a situation where if these squads know they're not going to be able to get anywhere late game, try and pick up some KP along the way and at least get some points on the board.
I was going to say for Passion UA on our screens, by the way, I'm coining a phrase right here. This is a golden game opportunity for them. What I mean is, that's a golden game opportunity for them. What I mean is, that's a golden game opportunity for them. What I mean is, that's a golden game opportunity. Ever been ambushed by a cat?
I can't say that I have. No.
Have you ever been ambushed by a robotic cat? Ambushed by a cat?
I think that would be 10 times worse. I can't say that I have.
We'll find
no.
out if that's true. Ever been ambushed by a robotic cat? Ambushed by a cat?
I'm just lying in wait there at the Cybercats, listening for those footsteps and deciding how they want to handle this henchman rolling in.
just
cruising.
Bacon. It took him that long.
As soon as he gets there, though, they look the way of Cybercats, so they know that they're crouched there on that stairwell. Team's back in the trenches, though, still trying to keep themselves alive. Eternal on blue shields as they look straight ahead of them and need to try and at least fend off this squad. They opt to rotate away and create some more space for themselves, as there are quite a few teams clustered up on the western side that Eternal is currently holding, and this ring is about to collapse on them.
Well, I mentioned golden game opportunity for Passion. They are bang center in the zone. They are inside the two buildings and they're split holding it at the moment, so they are holding so much good ground. Everybody who's here at Storm Point will have to fight, and Na'Vi are finding that out for themselves. And here comes the pounce from the Cybercats. They get that first knock, and now they're looking for more as well. The scan's going to be here for Cleve. He's just spraying with that car, trying to get those final kills. Na'Vi have to drop down to the low ground, and there's multiple teams in the vicinity here of Checkpoint. Gaming Gladiators are here. Na'Vi down to just 1 or 2, I think, and Go Next are also in the vicinity, so everybody has to be careful, but all these teams are just playing for kills.
Might be their only option right now. Cybercats did a really good job of taking that engagement, even when their spot was no longer secret. Now Gaming Gladiators trying to clean it up, and I don't think that they've moved in quick enough. Cybercats able to look their way and kind of decide how they want to take this fight now. Gaming Gladiators looking for that information and seeing what they can maybe do with it, but right now it's a little bit of a stalemate.
Yeah, I mean, they have to fight. This is the difference, right? GG know they have to fight, and Cybercats holding them out makes it a little bit more difficult for them because they're just going to have to send it at some point. There's no way they're getting through that choke without being shot from above. You see an evac tower go down, 1 or 2 of those. I wonder if that's the final Na'Vi player who's trying to make a little bit of a play down on that low ground to escape all of this carnage and maybe find a rat spot in zone. But GG, you can see they're just being held up at the moment, and Cybercats and them, they need to fight, and they need to fight now.
You can see they're looking for a little bit of opening damage, maybe some sort of advantage that they could try to push, and they're just not finding it. Gaming Gladiators using those smokes to try and back off. They might be able to sneak through, though, with this wall. They are looking for Cybercats, who do take the balloon, though, and decide to fly straight in towards where Passion is holding. And that actually saves Gaming Gladiators in the process.
It does. I mean, GG stay alive and Cybercats stay alive as well, but there's a definition between a literal rock and a fence, which we can describe as the hard place, and they know they have to push this situation. However, they are taking damage. The caustic barrels are down. Apex Warlords will be eliminated in the meantime, as 4 teams are now out of the lobby, but Cybercats have somehow managed to take the bottom floor here, so it's a really good push, as also Aurora will fall. So we're down to 15. 5 squads have gone.
Really, really solid play on behalf of Cybercats to make the decision to not try and hold behind that wall and just have to make that aggressive move inside. It's going to pay off for them momentarily as Passion decides if they want to fight, but Passion is all on blue shield, so it won't be to their benefit if they do decide to make that move. Meanwhile, checking back in with FaZe, who's been on this northern side the entire time, trying to do some damage towards Go Next, who I believe are just a 2, so we'll have to see how FaZe Clan wants to handle this engagement. Why don't we jump into a listen in and see what they've got going on?
We fight.
Okay, I'm coming.
Dead. One more left. Running away.
He's in the eye. Just chill.
One shot.
Dead.
Gonna get killed. Getting.
Nice.
Go back.
Loading.
Yeah. Grab cells, okay?
Yeah, cells and heals.
Pour about. Let's hold.
Look on the rocks here, okay? We need to get like up there. No.
Not good. We're not good
The
anymore.
rocks from the front there. We have to kill right side. We're not gonna wrap this team and kill them.
Yes, come.
They have blues. Yeah. Give me cells. They have blues on the far right.
I have 30 bats still.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Just come to me. I didn't get the fan on my knock. We need to fucking...
You have ulti now?
I do.
Right.
They're looking, they know.
Scan forward.
Get.
Dropping
Gunning.
next.